Nikola Jokic was 17 years old when European basketball scout Milan Tomic looked him up and down at a youth tournament in Belgrade and delivered the words that would fuel a legendary career. "Kid, you're too slow, too fat, and too unathletic to ever play professional basketball. Maybe you should stick to helping your family with the horses." It was 2012, and Nikola had just finished a dominant performance in Serbia's youth league, but his 6'11" frame carried what scouts considered too much weight, and his playing style was deemed too passive for modern basketball. While other prospects were impressing evaluators with explosive dunks and lightning-fast sprints, Nikola was orchestrating plays with the patience of a chess master and the vision of a point guard trapped in a center's body. Walking home to his family's horse ranch in Sombor that evening, Nikola made a promise that would echo through basketball history. "I'll show every scout who called me unathletic that basketball isn't about how high you can jump. It's about how smart you can play." That rejection didn't just motivate the farm boy from Serbia. It created the most unconventional superstar the NBA has ever seen. A three-time MVP who revolutionized basketball by proving that intelligence trumps athleticism. Before we dive into the most shocking underestimation story in basketball history, you need to understand something. What you're about to hear will completely change how you think about athletic ability, success, and what it really means to be the best player in the world. Nikola Jokic grew up in Sombor, a small Serbian town where basketball was respected but not revered the way it was in Belgrade or other major European cities. His family owned horses and operated a small ranch, and Nikola spent his childhood learning the values of hard work, patience, and treating animals with respect, qualities that would later define his approach to basketball. In a sport increasingly dominated by athletic freaks who could jump out of the gym and run like sprinters, Nikola represented something different. He was soft-spoken, methodical, and built more like a power lifter than a basketball player. European scouts, trained to identify the next generation of athletic marvels, took one look at Nikola and saw everything basketball was supposedly moving away from. What they failed to see was a basketball genius in the making, someone whose understanding of the game was so advanced that physical limitations became irrelevant. They were looking for the next athletic specimen when they should have been looking for the next basketball revolutionary. The Jokic family's approach to raising Nikola was rooted in Serbian values that prioritized character over flash, substance over style. His father, Branislav, was a former basketball player who had given up athletic dreams to support his family, teaching Nikola that success came through consistent work rather than natural gifts. "My father always told me that horses can sense if you're genuine," Nikola said years later. "Basketball is the same way. You can't fake understanding the game." Nikola's childhood balanced basketball practice with ranch work, learning that every achievement required effort and no task was beneath him. While other European prospects attended elite academies, Nikola was feeding horses at dawn and shooting baskets until dusk. The contrast was stark. European basketball had become increasingly professionalized, with young players specializing early and focusing entirely on athletic development. Nikola's well-rounded childhood was seen by scouts as a disadvantage rather than the foundation of future success. "They wanted me to choose between basketball and everything else," Nikola remembered. "But my family taught me that basketball was part of life, not separate from it. That perspective made me different, and different made me better." The story you're about to hear will show you exactly how being underestimated can become your greatest advantage, and how staying true to yourself is more powerful than trying to fit someone else's idea of what you should be. Nikola's journey from rejected farm boy to three-time MVP will change how you think about success and talent. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell right now, because we're sharing stories that prove conventional wisdom is often wrong, and that the most unlikely people can achieve the most extraordinary things. Every subscriber helps us reach more people who need to hear that being different isn't a weakness, it's a superpower. What happens next in Nikola's story will show you how he turned every criticism into motivation and every rejection into fuel for greatness. Don't miss it. Subscribe now. European basketball scouts in the early 2000s had a very specific idea of what the next generation of stars should look like. They wanted explosive athletes who could run faster, jump higher, and move more quickly than their predecessors. The game was evolving toward pace and athleticism, and players who couldn't keep up were being left behind. Nikola Jokic fit none of those criteria. At 17, he was 6 feet 11 inches but weighed nearly 280 pounds, moved at what scouts considered a pedestrian pace, and showed no interest in the high-flying style that was becoming basketball's signature. When he ran the court, it looked more like a leisurely jog than a professional athlete's sprint. "The kid has some basketball IQ," one scout wrote in his evaluation, "but he lacks the athleticism required for modern European basketball. His conditioning is poor, his lateral movement is limited, and he doesn't have the explosive power needed to compete at higher levels." Another scout was even more direct. "Jokic plays like basketball from 20 years ago. The game has passed him by before he even got started." These evaluations weren't just opinions. They were career death sentences in European basketball. Without scout approval, young players couldn't advance to professional teams. Without professional opportunities, they couldn't develop their skills or gain exposure to higher levels of competition. Before we continue with how Nikola proved these scouts wrong, I need you to drop a comment below. Have you ever been told you weren't athletic enough or skilled enough to pursue something you loved? Nikola's response to that doubt is about to teach you everything about turning limitations into advantages. While other prospects were working with athletic trainers and speed coaches, Nikola was developing his game differently. He spent hours studying NBA footage, not to copy athletic moves he couldn't perform, but to understand positioning, timing, and decision-making that didn't require superior athleticism. "I knew I couldn't outrun or outjump anyone," Nikola said, "so I had to outthink them." Nikola's training focused on skills scouts dismissed as outdated: post-positioning, passing accuracy, and court vision. While other big men practiced dunks and blocks, Nikola perfected no-look passes and studied how to create scoring opportunities for teammates. His approach was revolutionary in its simplicity. Instead of trying to become more athletic, he became more intelligent. Instead of playing faster, he played smarter. Instead of overpowering opponents, he outmaneuvered them. The results impressed anyone watching closely, but scouts continued focusing on what Nikola couldn't do rather than what he could do exceptionally well. His slow running speed overshadowed perfect passing. His limited jumping ability obscured incredible shooting touch. "They kept waiting for me to become something I wasn't," Nikola reflected. "They never considered that what I was might be exactly what basketball needed." His breakthrough came when a small Serbian professional team, Mega Basket, decided to take a chance on the unconventional prospect. It wasn't because they believed in his athleticism. It was because they needed players and Nikola was available. Mega Basket was far from an elite European team, but it gave Nikola his first opportunity to prove that basketball success didn't require conventional athleticism. Playing against men rather than teenagers exposed the limitations of his speed and jumping ability, but it also showcased skills that youth basketball had obscured. Against professional competition, Nikola's basketball IQ became undeniable. He anticipated plays before they developed, found passing angles that other players couldn't see, and made decisions that consistently put his team in advantageous positions. His slow playing style actually gave him more time to process information and make better choices. "Nikola sees things that happen before they happen," said his coach at Megabasket. "Other players react to what's happening. Nikola creates what's happening." European scouts who had dismissed him began taking notice, not because his athleticism had improved, but because his impact on games was impossible to ignore. Megabasket became more competitive with Nikola on the court, winning games against more talented teams through superior execution and teamwork. But the most important observer wasn't in Europe at all. NBA scouts, with different criteria and perspectives than their European counterparts, started seeing something in Nikola that others had missed. American basketball, with its emphasis on versatility and basketball IQ, was more receptive to unconventional players. The NBA has always been more open to different types of players, explained Mike Malone, who would later coach Nikola in Denver. We look for impact rather than just athletic ability. The 2014 NBA draft was approaching, and Nikola faced a decision that would define his career. European teams were offering contracts, but the money wasn't substantial and the opportunities weren't guaranteed. The NBA represented a massive gamble. He might not be selected at all, or he might be picked so late that his chances of success would be minimal. NBA scouts had been watching Nikola's development at Mega Basket, and while they shared some of the concerns about his athleticism, they were intrigued by his unique skill set. In a league where big men were expected to either dominate physically or shoot three-pointers, Nikola offered something different, the ability to orchestrate offense like a point guard while playing center. "We knew he wasn't athletic," said Denver Nuggets executive Tim Connolly. "But we also knew he understood basketball at a level that most players never reach. We thought that understanding might be more valuable than jumping ability." The Denver Nuggets, picking 41st in the second round, decided to take a chance on the Serbian prospect who didn't fit conventional molds. It was one of the latest picks in the draft, essentially meaning that 30 teams had passed on Nikola at least once, and many had passed on him twice. When his name was finally called, Nikola was at home in Sombor, watching the draft on television with his family. The moment was bittersweet. He had achieved his dream of being selected by an NBA team. But the late selection felt like confirmation that he was still being underestimated. "I was happy to be drafted," Nikola said, "but I was also motivated by all the players who were picked ahead of me. I wanted to prove that basketball IQ was more important than athletic testing." Nikola's first NBA training camp was a culture shock that went beyond basketball. The speed of the game, the athleticism of the players, and the intensity of competition were unlike anything he had experienced in Europe. Many observers expected him to be overwhelmed, but Nikola's unconventional strengths translated to the NBA better than anyone anticipated. His passing ability, which had impressed scouts in Europe, was revelatory in American basketball. His court vision was generational in the NBA. The first time Nikola made a behind-the-back pass to a cutting teammate in practice, our entire coaching staff just looked at each other, said Denver assistant coach Jordi Fernandez. We realized we had drafted someone completely different. The adjustment wasn't without challenges. Nikola's conditioning needed improvement, his defense required development, and his shooting range had to extend to the NBA three-point line. But his basketball intelligence allowed rapid improvement in areas where athletic limitations had previously held him back. "Smart players learn faster," explained Nuggets coach Michael Malone. Nikola could understand concepts immediately and implement them the next day. His brain processed basketball information faster than most players could run up and down the court. By his second season, Nikola was not just contributing to the Nuggets, he was transforming how they played basketball. His ability to pass from the center position created offensive possibilities that other teams couldn't match. As Nikola's NBA career progressed, it became clear that the scouts who had called him unathletic had fundamentally misunderstood what modern basketball needed. While they were looking for players who could run faster and jump higher, they had missed someone who could think faster and see clearer. Nikola's playing style revolutionized the center position in ways that pure athleticism never could. His passing transformed the Nuggets' offense, creating scoring opportunities for teammates that didn't exist with traditional big men. His basketball IQ allowed him to impact games without dominating statistics. "Nikola makes everyone around him better," said teammate Jamal Murray. "He sees plays developing that the rest of us can't even imagine. Playing with him is like having a coach on the court who can also score and rebound." The transformation was quantifiable. Denver went from a mediocre team to a playoff contender, largely because Nikola's unique abilities created advantages that athletic superiority couldn't match. His slow pace actually controlled the tempo of games in Denver's favor. European scouts who had dismissed him years earlier were forced to reconsider their evaluation criteria. Nikola's success suggested that their emphasis on athleticism might be causing them to overlook players with different but equally valuable skills. We were so focused on finding the next athletic marvel that we missed the next basketball genius, admitted one European scout who had passed on Nikola. He taught us that our understanding of basketball talent was incomplete. Nikola's 2021 MVP season was validation for everyone who had believed in basketball intelligence over pure athleticism. He became the lowest drafted player ever to win MVP, proving that conventional evaluation methods had significant blind spots. His MVP campaign wasn't built on spectacular dunks or blazing speed. It was constructed through perfect passes, timely rebounds, and basketball decisions that consistently put his team in winning positions. He averaged a triple-double while leading Denver to a top seed in the competitive Western Conference. Nikola's MVP season proved that basketball is ultimately about impact, not athleticism, said NBA analyst Zach Lowe. He affected winning more than players who were bigger, faster, and stronger. The award ceremony was particularly meaningful because it vindicated not just Nikola's abilities but his approach to basketball. In his acceptance speech, he thanked his family for teaching him that being different wasn't a disadvantage. "They told me I was too slow and too unathletic," Nikola said. "But my family taught me that being yourself is more important than being what others expect." This MVP is for every kid who has been told they're not athletic enough to pursue their dreams. His second and third MVP awards in 2022 and 2024 confirmed that his success wasn't a fluke, but rather a new template for basketball excellence. Nikola's 2023 NBA championship with the Denver Nuggets was the ultimate proof that unconventional approaches could achieve conventional goals. Leading Denver to their first championship in franchise history, Nikola became Finals MVP while playing a style of basketball that scouts had once dismissed as outdated. His Finals performance was masterful, not because of athletic dominance, but because of basketball perfection. He averaged a triple-double while making passes that created easy scoring opportunities for teammates and controlling the pace of games through intelligent play. "Nikola won a championship by being exactly who he is," said Denver coach Michael Malone. "He didn't try to become more athletic or play a different style. He just perfected his approach until it was unstoppable." The championship celebration in Denver was particularly emotional because it represented vindication for an entire philosophy of basketball. Nikola had proven that success didn't require conforming to athletic expectations. It required maximizing your unique abilities. "This championship is for everyone who has been told they don't have the right body type or the right athleticism for their dreams," Nikola said. "It proves that intelligence and hard work can overcome any physical limitation." The victory also forced a broader reconsideration of basketball evaluation. Scouts and executives around the world began questioning whether their emphasis on athleticism was causing them to miss players with different but equally valuable skills. Nikola's success has influenced basketball development programs around the world, with coaches placing new emphasis on basketball IQ and situational awareness rather than just athletic training. His story has become a case study in how unconventional approaches can achieve extraordinary results. "Nikola changed how we think about player development," said EuroLeague coach Ettore Messina. "We realized we were trying to create athletes instead of basketball players." His success showed us the difference. Young players who don't fit traditional athletic molds now point to Nikola as proof that alternative paths to success exist. Basketball camps have added passing and decision-making drills that emphasize basketball intelligence over pure athleticism. "Kids who were told they weren't athletic enough now have hope," said youth coach Sarah Martinez. Nikola showed them that basketball rewards thinking as much as jumping. His influence extends beyond individual development to team strategy. NBA teams have begun valuing players who can impact games through intelligence and skill rather than just physical dominance. The Serbian Basketball Federation has created development programs based on Nikola's approach, emphasizing fundamental skills and basketball understanding over athletic testing. His success has become a source of national pride and a template for developing future players. Throughout his rise from rejected prospect to three-time MVP, Nikola has maintained the humility and work ethic that defined his childhood in Sombor. His success hasn't changed his fundamental approach to basketball or life. He still prioritizes team success over individual recognition and substance over flash. "I'm still the same person who was feeding horses in Sombor," Nikola said in a recent interview. "Success doesn't change who you are. It just gives you a bigger platform to show who you've always been." His relationship with the horses on his family's ranch remains important to him, providing perspective and grounding that keeps him connected to his roots. During NBA off-seasons, he returns to Serbia to help with ranch work and reconnect with the values that shaped his character. "The horses don't care that I'm an MVP," Nikola jokes. "They just want to be fed on time and treated with respect. That keeps me humble." His approach to fame and success reflects the same thoughtfulness that defines his basketball play. He avoids attention when possible, focuses on team goals rather than individual achievements, and consistently credits others for his success. "Basketball gave me opportunities, but my family gave me values," Nikola said. "The values are more important than the opportunities." Today, Nikola Jokic stands as proof that basketball excellence comes in many forms, and that conventional wisdom about athletic requirements can be fundamentally wrong. His 3 MVP awards, championship, and revolutionary impact on basketball have vindicated everyone who believed that intelligence could triumph over athleticism. "Nikola didn't just succeed despite being different," said basketball historian Dr. James Peterson. "He succeeded because he was different." His story shows us that diversity in approaches leads to innovation in results. Young players around the world now study Nikola's game not to copy his style but to understand how he maximized his unique abilities. Coaches emphasize that while not everyone can be Nikola Jokic, everyone can learn from his approach to finding advantages within limitations. "He taught us that there's no single path to greatness," said NBA development coach Lisa Thompson. "Some players will always be more athletic, but Nikola proved that being the smartest player on the court can be just as valuable as being the fastest or strongest." His influence on basketball evaluation continues to grow. Scouts now spend more time analyzing basketball IQ and decision-making, understanding that these qualities can be as valuable as traditional athletic measurements. The farm boy from Sombor who was told he was too slow and too unathletic became the player who redefined what basketball excellence could look like. He proved that limitations exist only in the minds of those who can't see beyond conventional expectations. Nikola Jokic's story reminds us that greatness doesn't always look the way we expect it to, that being underestimated can be a powerful motivator, and that sometimes the best way to succeed is to stop trying to be what others want you to be and start perfecting who you actually are. His legacy extends beyond basketball statistics to a broader message about human potential, that intelligence, creativity, and persistence can overcome any perceived limitation, and that the most revolutionary achievements often come from the most unlikely sources. If this story inspired you to embrace your differences instead of hiding them, hit that subscribe button and share this video with someone who needs to hear that being unconventional isn't a weakness. It's your competitive advantage. Remember, you don't have to be the fastest or strongest to be the best. You just have to be the smartest version of yourself.